Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Casey and we cover Irish true crime here on Dark Vaults. If you have any cases you would like to see covered, feel free to send them my way. If you are not new here, thank you as always for your support and coming back to another video. This one is probably going to be a little short, there's not a lot on it, but I came across it and I thought it was an interesting one. I'd never heard of it before. I'm all for equality of the sexes, so today I'm bringing you Ireland's only ever female executioner. Elizabeth was born to a tenant family in Kerry between 1740 to 1750. These are the dates that I've came across. Some would say that she was literate and had some education, which some was probably too much for the girls back in those days. But anyway, she would marry a tenant farmer and became Elizabeth Sugrue. I hope I'm saying that right. And they would go on to have 2 children, maybe 3, but the sources kind of lean to 2, but one did kind of mention that there was that it was 3 kids. So sadly, her husband would die, and as they were like the tenant farmer thing, I'm not hugely up on that, they were evicted. Now, I don't know why she chose the destination that she did, but for whatever reason, she set out on the 300-kilometre trip to Roscommon by foot with her children. Sadly, her youngest would die, it's believed, of exposure and starvation, and that they were most likely buried in a makeshift shallow grave by the side of the road. She would arrive in Lisnacrohi in Roscommon, but it was also known as a gallows town, and we shall come to that. So with her eldest son Pádraig, now again there could have been another child, but it seems to be only that one died. Basically the way it makes out is that 2 could have died on the way, and it was only the eldest that survived. But I kind of lean that it was just the 2 kids that she had. So it's her and her eldest son Pádraig. They basically moved into like an abandoned hovel, and she would teach Pádraig how to read and how to write, and they would like scavenge for food and they'd beg. However, she was described as, quote, a brutal mother and had like a fierce temper. She was described as controlling and overbearing, and after obviously one nasty experience or situation, in April 1775, Pádraig left, and it is said that either he enlisted in the army or that he emigrated to America. They were kind of like the only options. After this, Elizabeth would basically become a recluse, although I don't know how social she was before that. She would start taking in lodgers into the abandoned hovel. I really don't know how that works, how you just take over like a hovel and then turn it into a guest house. But she did, and she would take in lodgers for like a penny a night. Over time, she would become very bitter. Now, some of the sources say that she killed a few people and would steal their belongings, their money, whatever she could take from them. Or this incident I'm going to tell you now could have been the first and only one. We don't really know. One cold, wintry November night, a gentleman would arrive and he told her that the local inn was full and that he had been redirected to her. He was tall, had a beard, he had this lovely fine coat, and when she took him in, he gave her some coins and said, like, go buy food with that. Now, I don't know if it was in like a go buy food with that, or was it go buy food with that? Like, I don't know, was he being patronising, or was he kind of being like, oh, go buy me food with that, or was it more so like, here's some money to get food for the lodgings for us to have, kind of thing. Anyway, she went off, she got eggs, meat, bread, she even got some alcohol. But she was bitter, as we knew, and she was quite jealous. You know, like, how dare this man have this money that he could give to me, but you know, how he could just flaunt around his money. And so that night, while her guests slept, she took her frustrations out, stabbing him while he slept. After he was dead, she then went through his things to obviously see what she could take. And she came across some paperwork with his name, Pádraig Sugrue. It's believed that he possibly didn't tell her who he was because he wanted to see, was she still as horrible as he remembered, or had she, changed? But the horror hit her of what she had done, and she ran out onto the streets and screamed that she had done a wicked thing. Elizabeth was arrested, tried, and found guilty of murder and sentenced to death by hanging, along with 25 other prisoners, among who were sheep stealers, cattle rustlers, shoplifters, white boys, which I don't really know what that is, but it says basically like after like a what used to be like a public land or like common area was fenced off, they would like then take the fencing and stuff back off, kind of I think like reclaiming the land, which isn't very serious to be sentenced to death. They were all let out in chains in Roscommon jail, and a crowd, of course, had gathered to see them, to see the show. And the crowd were already quite restless, but the hangman was sick, and some said it was because he sympathised with the white boys, that he didn't want to be the one to kill them when they didn't really do anything. And the crowd grew very uneasy. The sheriff and deputy, who were, quote, men of refinement, humanity and education, didn't want to be the one to do the job. And this is when Elizabeth, stoked and dark-eyed, stood forward and said, quote, set me free and I'll hang them all. The sheriff thought about it for a minute and agreed. Unmasked and showing no emotion, she hung all 25 people. She would become known as Lady Betty and would live rent-free in a room in the jail. Some would say she also got a salary, I don't know, because technically she was still a prisoner. In her room, she would make like charcoal drawings of the hangings. She also took part in floggings and gibbetings or gibbetings. I didn't know what this was, but I shall put you up some nice photos so you can see. And it is said that one of these drew a crowd of 30,000 people. It's also said, I don't know, this seems weird, I feel like maybe then we're going into the embellishment. It says that she got like the gallows moved to her, closer to her room, so that to get to it, prisoners had to walk through her room and climb out the window to get onto the gallows to be hung. I think that's weird. I don't know why you would agree. As the prison people, staff, sheriff, everybody, why would you agree to that? Like the effort alone and moving it. In 1807, Elizabeth Sugrue, Lady Betty, would die. Some say it was natural causes, and some say it was another prisoner. She would be buried in an unmarked grave in the jail. She would go on to become a boogeyman for the children of Roscommon. Behave or Lady Betty is coming to get you. Guys, that's really it. Again, as I said, this is a short one, but I just thought it was an interesting one. She was obviously very ruthless. Would you do that if you could be set free from death? Like obviously not just prison. Like you're going to be killed. Would you save your life by killing 25 others? I wonder what would have happened if she just hadn't said anything. Would they just have to postpone it for another day? Even now, you just postpone it for another day. Like, do you just have to be pragmatic in that situation? Be like, well, either way, we're all dying, so I might as well try to get free. It does seem like she seemed to relish in it, though. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think of this one. I'm not gonna jabba on. Yeah. Thank you as always for your support. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment on the video. So yeah, we shall see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.